One of the conclusions that I've come to while living in China is that everything that is fake is real. Okay, so let me explain myself a little bit. As you can see, I'm walking around this highly decorated shopping center, and you will see that there are a lot of young people around, especially high school to university and 20 something year olds all around this place. And so, how is everything fake real in China? This topic has to deal with the overwhelming influence of the internet, and more specifically social media and virality that exists and has taken over the psyche of young Chinese Gen Z people. And it all has to do with this idea that capturing an image, capturing your surroundings in an image, makes something real in the digital world. But in the real world, it doesn't really lead to anything. So people are living more digitally in China than they are in the real world. And as you'll see, people are more consumed with just the person they are with and their phone than any of the real surroundings that exist within their space. And this is just how life has evolved to become in China, especially for the younger generation. People are more captivated, people are more obsessed, focused on what they see on the screens of their phones than any real experience they could have actually exploring the space and understanding the space that they are in. And one huge part of this has to do with the virality of being part of the crowd. So you might consider these two things juxtaposing each other, being viral, but also being part of a larger group or being part of the crowd. But in China, these influencers, I can say, they strive to be viral, but they also strive to be no different from any other influencer on social media apps. Okay, if we talk about Chinese social media apps, we can of course talk about WeChat, but also Xiaohongshu, which is called a Little Red Book, and places like Dazhong Dianping, which is actually a rating app, but it is also doubled as a social media app as well. So why is virality so important to the crowd, to being a young Chinese person on social media, especially for women in this circumstances? Because it's not a misunderstood fact that a lot of people just want to be famous nowadays. So they believe that fame and being seen is the way to reach a certain level in life, a certain standard. But it has really taken, Chinese people have really taken this concept to a whole nother level. Okay, so they want to be different with the pictures that they take and the pictures that they end up photoshopping in general. But it actually creates an idea or a product that is more of the same. Okay. A side note to all of this, in the last couple of years, Chinese brands have become a lot more popular with the youth compared to well-known international brands, especially American brands. And this all has to do with the movement where young Chinese people are more willing and more aware of supporting local brands, supporting made in China brands, because they believe that this ultimately does well for the country in a very general way. So this has definitely become the trend. But within this trend, within this larger picture, you can see that social media and really escapism in reality is becoming a huge trend. And the trend is in following the wave of others also in this trend. So as you can see with all of the people in this video that are so captured by taking their image, they're so obsessed with their image and being able to showcase their image to these social media apps to get followers and to get likes. And all of these girls especially are doing this all at the same time. And it really creates no differentiation between them. And ultimately, something that they all do, and if you don't realize this happens in China, it does, they are so particular in photoshopping all of their personal blemishes or anything that they don't find attractive in their photos. They will Photoshop them away. They will stretch their limbs. They will get rid of wrinkles. They will elongate their legs. And it creates a very fake image that is pretty on the surface, but does not exist in reality. So they want to capture their setting. They want to capture their surroundings. They want to capture their unique experiences in a picture. But in reality, they are taking their picture to be seen and to be seen by a wider audience, to attract attention and to be called pretty or beautiful. And from there, it can get a little bit raunchy, depending on where it goes for these online influencers slash models slash Photoshop editors. So my real question, and probably to my Chinese viewers, I have this question, is what do they hope to gain from taking all of these pictures, putting such time and effort and curating their pictures to be seen on social media? What is their hopes? What do they really hope to gain from doing this, from creating a following just based on their modeling in a certain viral location, photoshopping their images and posting them on social media? In another sense, we can talk about how this ultimately is a side effect of an undeveloped sense of identity. What they are chasing is purely aesthetic. And this might be a difficult concept to actually grasp for Chinese people, because if you know the Chinese language, it is very unspecific in kind of recognizing these traits, these specific traits about, what is the difference between having fun and taking pictures versus not developing your sense of identity and simply being aesthetic to follow a crowd. These ideas aren't really differentiated within the Chinese language. So of course we will just have hordes and hordes of influencers, people that take pictures and say, oh, we're just having fun, changing our image, curating our image to look nicer, posting it on social media. But my real question is, what do they hope to gain out of this? And I'm genuinely curious, because in this sense, it could, impact other cultures in the very same way. Just like China is the first in a lot of things that have changed for the world in the last 50 years, this trend can also be something that we should dissect a little bit more closely. But ultimately, it is a very shallow, very aesthetically induced non-attachment to the location and space and identity of places like this. Okay, it's simply aesthetic. As simply as possible, it is aesthetic and should be recognized as aesthetic. And taking these photos and posting them on the internet is their only goal. Looking at this closely, maybe we should consider, is being aesthetic without the visible transformations something that we should accept in society, or something that we should look a little bit more closely at and try to understand why this trend is taking place, especially on social media? So if you like this commentary, if you like the things I'm talking about or trying to explain to you about the context of Chinese modern culture, then please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.